Is weight loss the same as we age? If you are 25, is the process the same as when you're 35 or 45 and beyond? We are going to talk about some things you need to consider as you get older or wiser and more seasoned, and how to stay your healthiest, strongest self as you age. Hey, welcome to the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, where we believe that you can go on a journey to lose weight for the last time. I know you've tried all the things and you may not believe me yet, but when you do weight loss the Kingdom Fit Moms way, everything changes. You are in the right place if weight is constantly on your mind, you're confused about food, you're missing out on memories, and maybe even putting your dreams off for another day because this weight struggle is no joke. We're a community and we're on a mission to invite God into this weight loss journey so you can shed the burden and shine your light. I want you to start living and believing in the version of yourself that heaven sees. Let's get started. All right, as we get started today, I want to highlight a couple of past interviews from fit moms who are in the category of being really wise and further along in their journey, and they didn't let age keep them from being their healthiest selves. Both of these women, they lost weight and they invited God into their weight loss, and then they far exceeded their own expectations. So I'll link these in the show notes, but the first is our fit mom, Jill. And Jill, she talked about her story of losing 50 pounds and inviting Jesus into the journey. And Jill expresses that she had tried all the things and they worked, but then she kept reverting back to, another diet and another diet because she hadn't learned how to really invite Jesus into this journey. So you will definitely be inspired by her story of getting her health in check as a grandma and now being the fun grandma and going out and playing and moving in ways that she hadn't before and really getting addicted to this healthy lifestyle in a positive way. So that's episode 129. And then I also invite you to listen to Vicky's story. Vicky is on episode 64, and it's called It's Never Too Late to Start, how Vicky was transformed through Christian weight loss at age 63. And I love how she says in her interview that my husband was amazed. And, she started lifting, she started just enjoying real food and just learning how to include God in this process. And so she was our very first Australian fit mom, and it's a beautiful story, so make sure you go check that out. Okay, so as we dive in today about weight loss as you get older and what that means, there are many different schools of thought that you could find as you look through the internet, right? But I think we do need to acknowledge that once you hit your 30s, things are going to be changing, and then eventually hormones will be shifting as we get into perimenopause, menopause. Maybe you're there or past that and you are like, yep, I know my metabolism maybe is slowing down. My schedule is busier. Maybe I'm more tired. There are potential mindset barriers. All these things can come into play as we get older and we are trying to conquer this weight loss thing. So, as always, I want to again emphasize that we are aiming for sustainable long-term strategies rather than quick fixes because, as we get older, we want to set ourselves up so that we have a system in place so that this is no longer an issue, right? We want to be able to walk in freedom so that, for me, I imagine myself as the 80-year-old grandma playing pickleball and, walking around and running around and working on my garden and, whatever that looks like, Lord willing. So I want to set myself up well for, the future and for longevity. And I've mentioned this before, but one of the best teachers on longevity medicine is Mark Hyman, so you can go check out his podcast or read some of his books as well. Okay, so there are definitely hormonal changes that can impact your health. So if you have a thyroid issue that starts, in your 40s, your thyroid definitely impacts how you can lose weight. So that's a whole nother topic for probably an expert in thyroid health, of which I am not. But I do know there are some things we can do to help support your thyroid. And then as you go through menopause, your hormones are certainly shifting. So we need to tweak some of the ways that we exercise, the type of food that we eat in order to support those changes. As we age, our metabolism does slow down. And one of the best ways to counteract that is to make sure that you have adequate muscle in your body. So we're going to talk about that today. And again, I think it's important to take all of this advice or any advice that you get and to consider how you feel and adapt your approach based on, is your energy still high? Am I, just feeling good in my own skin? And so sometimes this does take a lot of tweaks, and it takes working with somebody to help you to refine what's going to work for you. I've had plenty of people tell me things like, I just have tried everything and I just cannot lose weight. And so that's a common thing that I hear, but typically these people are doing it on their own, or they have tried, a one size fits all approach, even within the coaching world. I do want to give you a little story. So we have one fit mom in our community who was at a plateau for a while, and we've been talking through some different strategies and recognized that for her, she was having a dip in the afternoon with energy, and she found herself overeating then, or just snacking more. And so we've made a couple of shifts, and she decided to add in a protein shake mid-afternoon. Pretty simple protein shake, and pairing it with a little caffeine to give her a boost of energy. And she set a non-negotiable this month of cutting out the snacking so that she had her 3 meals and her protein shake, and that was just what she ate, and she was full and happy. And I just got a message from her this morning saying that the scale showed she was down 2.4 pounds. So all that to say, individualized help and coaching is very beneficial. It's good to have a general idea of where you're going and what you need to start tweaking. But if you get stuck, don't throw in the towel and just go back to eating whatever. So one of the most important things that you should be focusing on when it comes to what to eat, and this really holds true for anybody at any phase in their journey, but especially as you get older, is focusing on the nutrition and not just the calories. And having this mindset of, is this food serving my body? Does it have a purpose? Or is it just empty calories that, is basically junk to my machine? So that's why we are so adamant about eating real food, whole nutrient-dense food over processed options, because every single thing that you put into your mouth, it's either going to slow down your machine, or it's going to have a purpose in your cellular function, and it's going to be serving you. So when you are focusing on nutrition, especially for weight loss as you get older, you've probably heard this, you see all the weight loss celebrities talking about it, but it's very important to prioritize protein. Now, protein helps with your cellular function, and it helps to build muscle, and it helps your metabolism, and it also helps you to feel fuller longer. So there are many benefits to this. Now, I sometimes have some beef with, overemphasizing this, making it so that you have to hit a certain number of grams or else, because I've actually seen women gain weight because they've been so obsessed with protein, and they're not getting in enough, vegetables and fruit and other foods that are good for your body. It's just become an obsession, like protein. So yes, protein's important. Make sure that you're having it with every meal, about a palm sized, and then including it in your snacks. But there's a little bit of wiggle room there, right? And then also, it's important that you have some healthy fats in your diet as well. I don't know, maybe in the 90s, it was a trend to have a low-fat diet, but if you're eating healthy fats like avocado and a few nuts, then that's really great for your metabolism and to help you to burn fat as well, as long as it's not too much. So we talked about protein, and making sure that is a priority in your diet, having nutrient dense food. And then if you are 30 or older, truly your entire life, but especially once we start to hit our 30s and then beyond, if you're not strength training, if you're not building muscle, you're losing it. And muscle is your metabolism booster. It's putting money in your retirement for later, right? It's so important. So if you hear nothing else from this, I want you to consider, like, maybe you're somebody who loves walking, and that's amazing. Walking is such great exercise. And we need to start making sure that you're challenging your muscles and building strength for a variety of reasons, but especially if you're somebody who wants to tone up and have a metabolism that lasts beyond, those years when all your hormones are changing. So how do you do this if you're busy? How do you fit that in? How do you balance it with walking or whatever else you're doing for exercise? Well, it doesn't have to be a whole hour-long thing all the time. I mean, truly, like 3 times a week, you could fit in a 30-minute whole body lifting workout, and that's great. Like, you're still building muscle. You can also pair muscle groups. So sometimes what I will do is I'll do, let's just say, for example, Monday, biceps and chest. Tuesday would be triceps and back. I'm mixing in core with all these days. And then Wednesday would be lower body, take a day off, and then repeat that. So that I'm hitting all the different muscle groups and just really focusing on burning those out and building muscle in that way. When I was not, well, I don't know, maybe I said this on the podcast, I've told Facebook land, but I'm pregnant, and currently at the time of this podcast, I'm 21 weeks. When I was not pregnant, I was doing some different lifting classes, and for that, I would do that, maybe 2 or 3 times a week and do a little bit of strength training at home. But you can get so much more bang for your buck if you are adding in resistance training. You're going to feel better. I think there's so much truth to, like, when you feel strong, there's something even that happens to you, like spiritually and emotionally and mentally, where you just are stronger all around. So go get yourself some weights or go to the gym. You're not going to bulk up, okay? You don't have oodles and oodles of testosterone, okay? You're not going to look like a female bodybuilder unless that's what you want, but then you're probably listening to the wrong podcast. You're going to start to notice some tone and definition, but it's going to significantly help your metabolism. You may notice that the scale even stalls out if you're getting serious about strength training, because muscle is more dense than fat. So as you are gaining muscle and losing fat, make sure you're keeping an eye on your body composition or measurements so that you can still celebrate those wins, because that's great. So then again, as with anything, like as you are getting older and wiser and focusing on your health, it's important to also remember that it's really a product of the things that we do over and over and over again. Our health is. And so it's worth considering, maybe you're in a busy season where you're running your kids around all the time. You're like, why can't I lose weight? Well, are you actually meal prepping, or are you always eating things on the go? You just know you're not having as many nutrient dense meals. So maybe that's something that you need to get back to focusing on. Mindful eating is also very key. So again, sometimes we forget all these little data points that, we once had in check. And then we suddenly realize, wow, I am grabbing a handful of this and that throughout the day. And then I'm saying I can't lose weight, but I'm adding in an extra 300-400 calories of mindless eating. So that is important. And then as a culture, we are very sedentary and we don't move enough in general. So that's why pairing walking with strength training is some of the best ways that you can stay fit as you get into your later years in life. Walking is great for a variety of reasons. It helps you to clear your mind. I think for me, it really helps to connect with the Lord. I have some of my best revelations as I'm walking, but it also isn't a high stressor cardio workout. So you're not getting huge cortisol surges. So you're able to still burn calories. and maybe not put as much stress on your nervous system, and you don't feel as hungry afterwards. So it helps a little bit more with satiety than doing these really intense cardio workouts. You don't need to do that necessarily unless you have really refined nutrition and support for your system. So for me, when I was 20, I was doing all sorts of, I did the insanity workouts. Anybody else, where it's like basically an hour of HIIT training. I don't do that anymore. First of all, I would probably get injured, but I love walking and I love strength training, and it feels relatively easy. I have a good burn afterward, and I continue to meet my health goals. With this, again, continuing to remember to avoid that all or nothing thinking, because if you get to the point where you're like, oh, I've done this for a month and nothing's working, again, you probably need somebody to look at what you're doing and give you some honest feedback and say, hey, you just need to tweak this thing, or you need to add in this, or let's take this out. This is probably part of the problem. Are you eating at night? What are the things? And just having that approach of, okay, I'm going to keep going, and this is going to be my lifestyle. I'm going to be a lifter. And again, it doesn't have to be a CrossFitter. Let's just clarify. It doesn't have to necessarily be a heavy lifter, but I'm going to be building muscle for the rest of my life, or else I'll be losing it. And then it's good to consider also, I can't leave this podcast without at least bringing up this idea of your stress management and your rest. If you are always go, 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 then your hormones will also start to get a little wonky, and you have a hormone called ghrelin that helps to control your satiety, or how full you are, and that can start to become irregular when you aren't sleeping well. So prioritize rest and be honest with yourself. If you're somebody who needs 8 hours, but you're always trying to get up at 5 and you're staying up to 11, that's not going to work long term, and you're going to find yourself hungry in the afternoons, probably when you have that energy dip. So make sure that you're prioritizing sleep, and then you're also prioritizing how to manage your stress. And God gives us so many good tools to do this. He commands us to Sabbath, to rest, right? Because he knows our human nature is often to do things on our own. And so are you doing that? Are you taking the time to just be present with God, with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, whoever that is? Are you taking time to just be on the couch and read a good book, or go in nature, or do something that feeds your soul, that, just gets you out of that fight or flight all the time? It's very important for your weight management and for your health. Are you going on a solitude retreat every now and then to just be away and hear from the Lord? This is something that I want to do more often, and my husband and I, we try to support one another in our endeavors to have time alone with God, because it really makes our family better when we do that, and our marriage better, because we can come back feeling refreshed. And, I got 3 little kids and I'm pregnant. So there's not a whole lot of time to be alone and to feel refreshed. So that's important as well. And even little micro solitude retreats, maybe it's a coffee shop by yourself for a couple hours to read a book. Whatever that is, just pair up with your people. Maybe you pair up with some mom friends or some people from church, and you kid swap, or you, take turns helping one another with whatever, so that you can have a break. And this requires some honest conversation as well, because if you aren't willing to be vulnerable and ask for help, then you're not going to get any help. Okay. So that kind of takes me into my last point, which is to always bring this before the Lord. So no matter where you're at, whether you're 30 or 50 or 70, and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I want to be a fit mom or fit grandma, it's really important to have a mindset of continual surrender to the Lord in your health journey. This is not about perfection. It's not about shame for what you've done to your body so far. It's about saying, God, I know that health is important to you, and I want to treat my body well so that I can do your work here on earth. And so we just have to continually renew our mind to have that mindset, and to see food as fuel and such a gift and medicine, and to see movement and activity as something that is helping us to say yes to whatever work we have before us, instead of seeing it as, it's not about, fitting into your size 4 jeans again, or whatever, going to the beach and rocking your swimsuit. Like those are obviously nice added bonuses as you go through this journey. And I'm not negating that, but that's not the main goal, right? The main goal is that we live in freedom and that we feel confident and we can say yes and do his will here on earth. So whatever you have to do to get into that mindset, of course, I want to invite you into Fit Moms Academy, where we are continuing to have these conversations every single week. We just had a conversation on our call just yesterday about how do we get to that point where God is in control of our health journey. And so we just had a beautiful conversation around that and what it has meant for different women at different points in their journey. And again, it comes down to surrender. It comes down to practicing. It comes down to taking all the little details that maybe you don't think about with your health journey and giving it over to him. So maybe it's a time thing where you need to say like, Lord, I need to get rid of some things in my life so I have enough time to make this a priority. Or maybe it's saying I need to clean out the junk in my house so that I am not constantly tempted. It's individual, but it's a heart posture of show me, God. And in Fit Moms Academy, you have a community to help you to realize the things that you may not even have thought about before. And so we have fit moms who are young moms who aren't even moms. And then we have fit moms that are grandmas. So no matter where you're at listening to this podcast, we want to invite you into our community. If you're somebody who's like, yeah, I know that this is a missing link. Like I need a community, I need accountability, and I need people who are kingdom-minded and who are here to support me along the way. So if you're ready for that, then we want to invite you to join today in Fit Moms Academy. You can go to kelseywickenhauser.com/join or hop down to the show notes, and we look forward to welcoming you into our tribe. Until next time, continue to shed the burden and shine your light, mamas. Hey Fit Mom, if this episode blessed you today and you can think of somebody else who's struggling in her weight loss journey, would you consider sharing this week's episode with her to give her a sense of hope? And then while you're at it, hop on over to our free Facebook community, Kingdom Fit Moms, for daily encouragement and support. Let's go shed the weight to shine the light.